What's going on, everybody? Dan the Ultra Dad out here today. Look at this day. Just take a look, soak it in. I have decided this is the best day of 2022 so far, at least here in my home state of Ohio. Doing the old Germantown gym route, so it's about a half marathon, and let's do it. Quick shout out to the Madison Junior High track team. You know who you are. Let's go. It's Saturday. Get out, get a run. This is a great day, man. You better get out for your run. Let's go. Have a great weekend. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dan the Ultra Dad here. Hope you enjoyed my run today. I had a great time out there in Germantown. The weather was just amazing today. I tell you what, man, it's the kind of day that you dream of with running, and so I made the most of it. Got out there on the trails, and you might ask, I'm training for a road marathon, so why did I do my long run of the week on the trails? And that's what we're going to talk about today. There's a bit of a tension going on for me. I feel like I'm being pulled in multiple directions, and ultimately you have to kind of decide how you're going to respond to that and what your plan is going to be. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, with respect to myself and my training, and maybe you'll relate to it a little bit. So Before we get started, though, thanks again for viewing this video. If you want, you can subscribe to the channel, hit the like, thumbs up. We always appreciate that, and the bell notification if you'd like to be notified of my future content. Because I have a lot going on. I have a lot planned for the next, year. 2022 is going to be really fun, very exciting what we have planned. So I've got a bunch of races lined up. They're all paid for, so it's going to be a pretty intense racing season. Going into this season, I thought, well, maybe I should back off. Maybe I shouldn't run quite so much distance, or maybe I should look at doing 100Ks versus 100 milers. There's a million ways that a racing season can go, and I've decided this year to kind of do a little bit of everything. So I don't know if that's going to play out well for me or not. So anyway, tonight I want to talk about this tension that I'm feeling right now. Anyway, so this tension is the tension between running on the road versus running on the trail. I love running on trails. That's kind of what my channel is all about. Ultra Dad, all about running ultra marathons on the trails. But this year on May 1st, I'll be running my first road marathon. And I decided to do that, because I've never run a road marathon before. And I figure if I'm running 50Ks all the way up to 100 milers, it's probably time that I at least try a road marathon. So that's what I'm doing, and that's not changing, so don't worry about that. I'm definitely going to be running the Flying Pig Marathon on May 1st. But the tension is the fact that my training right now is very much geared towards a road marathon. I'm not running super long distances. I'm focusing some already on some speed work. So, I'm not running back-to-back 20 milers on the weekends, which you would normally do for an ultra marathon, because on June 4th, I'll be running in the Mohican 100. So I'm running the road marathon on May 1st, and then I'm running a 100 miler on the trails on June 4th. And you might ask, how am I going to properly train for that 100 miler? Well, thankfully, I've done 100 milers before, so I feel like I can kind of wrap my head around that. But even for me, it definitely is still kind of a question mark as far as how that's going to be possible. How am I going to turn around after my first road marathon on May 1st and be ready for a 100-mile trail ultra marathon just over a month later? So that's what I'm going to talk about tonight a little bit about, is what my thoughts are and how I'm going to accomplish that. So basically, I have three major things that I'm going to be thinking about and trying to do to make sure that I am ready for the Mohican 100 on June 4th. The first one is, even before I get to the road marathon on May 1st, I'm going to plan out several very long runs in May after the marathon, so that I make sure I get some of that extra mileage that I'll need for the 100 miler. So I'm going to go ahead and plan that out, make sure I know which weekends I'll be doing what. I'll give myself plenty of time to recover from the road marathon. And then I'm going to need to hit a couple key weekend trail runs, super long runs, so that I'm ready for the June 4th Mohican 100. The second thing I'm going to need to do is plan my nutrition and my hydration ahead. This is kind of common sense. You always do that for a 100 miler. But in this case, I definitely, I'm going to be doing these super long runs on the weekends. And so that'll be my time to test out my strategy for nutrition and hydration, because with a 100-mile ultra marathon, it is definitely a key part of the race being a success, even being able to finish the 100-miler. So, going from, mid-distance basically for the road marathon, and I know a lot of you are going to laugh at that because a marathon is a long race, but when compared to the 100-mile trail ultra, the marathon's actually a pretty short race. So, the hydration, nutrition strategy is going to be totally different between those two races. So it's going to be very key that I take a hard look at both of those items, the nutrition and the hydration, and have that ready to go for those long training efforts after the road marathon in May. The final big thing I need to make sure I'm addressing is planning to mentally wrap my head around the fact that I'm going to be doing this, that I'm going to be bouncing back very quickly after my first road marathon, and then, within a month going to run a 100-mile ultra marathon on the trails. So that is going to be something I think I really need to kind of get my head in gear with. And really, honestly, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to accomplish this, but I just know I need to do it. I need to be able to mentally prepare for that pivot that's going to happen, and that stark difference in my training, because there isn't a whole lot of time to adjust. As you know, it's only a few weeks. I'm definitely going to need to taper, probably 2 weeks before June 4th. So it really only gives me a couple weekends to hit some very key workouts, practice my hydration and my nutrition. I'm kind of wrapping it all together now, and mentally plan to make that adjustment and to make that pivot. So those are the three major areas that I'm going to be trying to focus on as I make that transition between the road marathon preparation and the road marathon itself and my June 4th Mohican 100 ultra marathon race on June 4th. So I think I already said June 4th. Anyway, those are my thoughts right now about how I'm going to deal with that tension. I'm already starting to feel that tension build because normally if I was training for a 100-mile ultra marathon by itself, I would have already started doing some back-to-back long efforts on the weekends. And as I'm training for the marathon, just the regular road marathon 26.2, that's not really part of my training plan at all. So I'm already starting to think that I'm missing out on some training that I could be getting in. But I just need to keep my nose to the grindstone and really focus on the fact that I want to do the best job I can with my first road marathon. I'm not going to be breaking any records here, and I'm certainly not looking to hit some crazy time. If I break the 4-hour mark or the 3:45, I'll be super thrilled with my first road marathon. But there still is that tension between the two different types of training, between these two different races. And then the final aspect of this tension that I'm talking about is the fact that I love running on the trails. Today, as you saw in my run, I was on the trails. It was beautiful. It was amazing out in the woods. And that's something you don't get much of when you're doing road training, at least in my opinion. That's something that I need to be able to adjust with. I don't think I'll be hitting the trails very often running up until May 1st. But today I decided to go ahead and do it. It worked out well, of course. The turnover and the speed was not there. I think I averaged like 12 minutes per mile, which is, not that uncommon with a trail run for me at my level, which isn't that high. But certainly on the roads, if I was doing a 13.1, like I did today on the trails, on the roads, I'd be looking at doing, something like 8 to 8:30 minutes per mile or 9 minutes per mile. So still, I got lots of time on feet today, which is great. And, I can definitely chalk it up as a success. And most importantly, I did what I really loved today. And I also accomplished the long run that I needed. So, you just have to be positive and then make a decision about what you want to do and what your goals are. So anyway, thanks again for joining me tonight for a quick recap of my run today, but also this discussion about tension. Hit me up in the comments below if you have any thoughts on or any tension yourself in your training. I'd love to hear about it because I'm sure I'm not the only one who likes both roads and trails. I think that's all I have for you tonight. Thanks again for joining me, and we will catch you in the next one.